Speaking of Canada, let's talk to the man who put Canadian MMA on the map. The one and only George St-Pierre is on the phone right now. George, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and you, Ariel?
Oh, wow, you're doing fantastic. That is great to hear. I'm doing great myself. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're very busy, so we really appreciate it, and there's a lot to talk to you about. First, let me ask you about this. This past weekend, your good friend and teammate Rory McDonald lost to Wonderboy Thompson. What did you think of the fight? Why do you think he didn't win the fight?
Well, I think the winner of that fight would have been the one that is able to implement his game plan, and I think Stephen Wonderboy did it better than Rory. He keep the distance, he keep him at his distance where he's comfortable, and that's why he won the fight, you know?
A lot of pressure on Rory because he was a free agent, you know, after this fight. There was a lot riding on. Do you think that in hindsight was a little too much, that, you know, he was a little too tentative in the fight at all?
I don't know about that. You know, I don't want to make excuse for Rory
Sure.
and everything. I knew he had a problem with his nose a little bit before, but because of the Robbie Lawler fight, so even in training, his nose was a little bit. Sometimes when he was getting hit, it was like he was bleeding a little bit, unfortunately. But Rory is a warrior, you know. He doesn't back down from challenges, and he fought as the best he could. And I'm sure now he's gonna take some time off, get that problem, get rid of that problem, maybe get surgery or something, and he's gonna be finished once for all, and he's gonna come back stronger.
And I said on this show earlier that I think Wonderboy Thompson is going to be a champion in this division. I know you've trained with him before a little bit. Do you agree? Do you think that he has what it takes to be a champion?
Yes, absolutely. He's very good at what he does. He's a specialist. The sport goes like this to me. Sometimes you have the era that the specialists dominate the sport. Then is the most well-rounded guy. Then it goes back to the specialist. Now we're in an era that seems to me that the specialists are coming back, and Wonderboy is a specialist of karate fighting, and if he can keep fighting his fight and keep people that he's fighting at his distance where he's doing well, I think he can beat everybody because he's a specialist at what he does.
I agree 100%. Okay, now let's talk about you.
He did made a great switch to mixed martial art too. He adapted his style very well. Incredible. I'm very happy for him. It cannot happen to a better guy. I'm very happy. I know him. I know his family. They're great people, and I'm very happy for him. I wish him the best.
Great to hear, and I echo those sentiments. So let's talk about you, George. You have been in the news over the past week. Everyone always talks about you. You're one of the top stories of the year. So let me ask you this question right off the bat. Have you made a decision as to whether or not you will fight again this year or beyond? Will you come out of retirement? I know you never used that word, but will your break end? Are you going to fight again?
What I did is I did a training camp to see where I'm at. Because I've been training, but I was training, being in shape and being in fighting shape is something different. And I did a training camp to push myself and go back to the same, you know, to the highest level, you know, of competition. You know, I didn't fight, but I put myself like through a training camp. And I spar and everything, and I did it successfully. And I could fight. Now I know for a fact that I could go back and fight if, you know, my management and the UFC get to an agreement.
Wow. Okay, so you are ready and willing to come back to fighting if they can come to an agreement. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, and you told us not that long ago, around 2 months ago, that they were in negotiations, that there was, you know, some talking between your side and the UFC. How are those negotiations going?
Yeah, they were talking, and now I told them that I had to do a training camp. You know, I had a little, not injury, but little things that was bothering me physically. I got over it. Then I did my training camp. Now I'm back, and we were waiting because a lot of things was going on. Rory is fighting, and there is a rumor that they're gonna sell and stuff like that. So we were a little bit waiting a little bit to see what was going on, and in the meantime to see before we talk to them again.
So is it fair to also say that you want to come back, that you want them to come to a deal, you want to resume your career? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I always said that I would come back for something big, something that give me the chill. You know what I mean? Something that make me excited. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And is there anything out there that excites you right now?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that excite me. It's it goes by phase, MMA. Sometimes you have guys that are successful. Sometimes you have guys that it's a up and down. You know what I mean? And I heard that Michael Bisping, who I know that's what you probably refer to. He says I contact his camp. We never contact his camp. What happened is John Danar, one of my trainer, he's a big fan of Michael Bisping, and I am a big fan of Michael Bisping, by the way. He made a post on Facebook praising Michael Bisping, and I think that it created a buzz and confusion as a lot. And I heard Michael says we contact his camp for making a fight with him, but I never personally, my management contact his camp for making a fight with him.
Okay, so that never happened. He has said that in interviews. He didn't say that on this show, but you're saying that your team has not contacted his team or the UFC to say, I want Michael Bisping.
No. My team has not. We didn't go on. No, we did not. I didn't. None of my agents went and contact Michael Bisping for making a fight.
Okay.
Because I haven't talked to UFC about fighting yet.
Michael Bisping was on this show last week. I asked him about that John Danaher post. I asked him about fighting you, and this is what he said. I want to play you the clip and then get your response, okay? All right, here it is. Here's Michael Bisping last week on the show.
I would certainly be open to, sending George St-Pierre back to a movie set, because that would be a fight that I would definitely win. And if George St-Pierre is listening, buddy, anytime you fancy it, just be a man sign on the dotted line, and your return will be short-lived.
So that's what he said. Be a man, sign on the dotted line. Your return would be short-lived. Is this the fight that you want, George?
Look, Ariel, there's two things that I'm very proud of.
Yes.
There's my title, my welterweight title that I won. And then there's another record that I hold for the most win in UFC history. And now I have someone who's challenging me for it, is Michael Bisping. But I do not believe he would have, if I fight him, he would have sent me back to a movie set. Yes, he's bigger than me, but I believe I got more skill, more athleticism, and a higher fighting IQ than he does. And the world doesn't turn around me. But if it's a fight that the fans and the UFC want to make, they got my number. They can call my agent, no problem.
Wow.
We can organize to make happen and make an agreement.
So let me see if I get this straight. If they put on the line middleweight title fight against Michael Bisping, and also you're fighting for the record of most wins inside the UFC octagon, you both have 19 right now. That interests you. That would get you fighting. You would agree to that fight. Is that fair?
Look, it's something big. You just give me that chill thinking about it, because it's not the first time that people have mentioned it, and I'm sure Michael on his side, people have talked to him about it because it creates a lot of buzz. I always said if I come back, I would come back for something very big. Bisping is the man to beat right now. He beat Silva, he knocked out Rockhold. Rockhold beat Jacare and Weidman. He's bigger than me. Before I was fighting as a welterweight, so I never really considered going up and going back down after, because I was welterweight champion. Now I retire. I can make things more more experimentally. I could, if I want to, I could fight at lightweight as well.
Wow.
Easy. It would be easy for me. I could fight at the welterweight, and I can fight also middleweight. I'm not a big welterweight. And even though Michael Bisping is bigger than me, I believe if I fight him, I believe I'll beat him.
Wow. Wow. So of all the potential options out there, all the potential big names, does this one interest you the most?
He's the bigger name now. He's the guy that he's the man to beat right now. You know, like I always said that if I come back, my first fight would be something big. You know, that gives me the chill. And he's the bigger name right now. You know, like he is the bigger name, the guy that, you know, he's the guy that got the spotlight right now. You know, and I'm sure. Like I said, the world doesn't turn around me. There's a lot of guys hunting him. But if it's a fight that UFC want and the fans want, if it creates a buzz and the money is there because we're in a business, I'm down for it. What
do you think of this idea of Michael Bisping fighting Dan Henderson in England? He's been sort of talking about this as well. What do you think of that?
But for Michael Bisping, I understand also because he's got a loss to Dan Anderson, so he wants to revenge his loss before the end of his career. And I understand his point of view because when I lost to Matt Serra and Matt Hughes, I didn't really care about the title. I wanted to beat the guy that beat me. That's the thing. It was more about pride than the title for me. That's that way it was when I lost. That's the feeling that I had. So I could understand from Michael's point of view.
Okay. On this show a couple of weeks ago, Chael Sonnen threw out an offer saying he wants to fight you, saying that you guys trained together in the past. Does this interest you at all?
I understand, like, Chael Sonnen, you want to fight me. But there's a thing to, you know, I want the fight that are the biggest fight, you know what I mean? And also, what I like about Bisping that makes him, for me, the best candidate, is someone that talk very, he was talking a lot about performance enhancing drugs. He's big time against it. He never got caught using it. And that's one of the reasons that he makes that he's the number one guy. You know, like he's someone I respect a lot. You know, that's for this reason that if I go up in a weight class, it would be it would be my first choice before Chael Sonnen or Silva or any other guys because of that.
Okay,
of course, and he's the man to beat right now.
You appeared at UFC 196. You were there to watch history when Conor McGregor fought Nate Diaz. If Conor McGregor wins at UFC 202 and this momentum of you fighting him comes up again, would you be interested in that?
Look, I don't. I do not run after these guys. I do not run after him. But if they call me out and if it's what the fans want, I know he's a big draw, huge draw. I'm interesting of fighting him, and I think I can beat both of these guys too. As a fighter, I'm confident, you know, that I'm the best. But if it's something, like I said, the world doesn't turn around me, you know. Sure. I don't, you know, it's something that I want. But if something that UFC want to do, they got my number. They know where to reach me, and if it's something that fans want to do, they can create a buzz, and they make it. It will. If there is a buzz around it, it will happen. There's more chance likely to make it happen.
How close is your management team in the UFC right now? Because in the past, you've talked about the Reebok deal being a stumbling block. Has that stuff been figured out, or are there still some issues as far as the contract, not the fight, the contract is concerned?
It's an issue, but I'm trying to not get involved into this. It's a legal language. First, English is not my first language.
Yeah. And
even if you speak English, sometimes it's hard to read a contract with the legal language. You know what I mean? So it's a very difficult thing, but I'm sure if they want, they can put their ego aside on both party and make an agreement for the best of both sides.
So obviously you're not involved in the negotiations, but from what you're hearing, are you confident that a contract deal will get done, that both sides can figure this out, paving the way for your return?
Look, man, I'm going to tell you what happened in my situation.
Please.
I am involved in negotiation, but it's not my expertise.
Sure.
And my agent, Rodolphe and Philippe, they're guys that these two guys they had a great job before they stepped on board with me. They were making a big money and they had a family to feed. And they told me, they make me promise something, and I'm a man of my word. They said to me, George, I never want you to sign anything without our blessing. If we jump on board with you, because we're putting our life on the line, you know, we want to make sure everything it's controlled. And every time you sign something, the three of us, we agree on it. And I told them yes. So I'm never gonna make a decision, even though I'm emotional. Sometimes I want to do something. I'm not gonna make a decision without their blessing. So these guys are the brain in terms of business. I'm the fighter. You know, that's their area of expertise, and I trust them very much.
That seems like a very healthy arrangement, a healthy partnership between a client and his manager. So I think that's
how it should be done, Ariel.
Sure.
The problem with a lot of guys that complain they don't get paid enough. It's because they're ready to sign anything. They got caught with their emotion and they sign anything. They're gonna fight for peanuts. You don't want to do that. If you do that, you penalize the other guy that want to get paid more. Why they would pay some guys more money if they can get another guy for almost for free? You know what I mean?
Sure.
As fighters, I think they should be more aware of this. It's important.
Absolutely. So when you walked away, when you gave up your title, you said you didn't know if you'll fight again. You never said the word retirement, but you always were telling us in interviews you haven't decided yet. Is it fair to say that you've decided that you are ready to keep fighting, you want to keep fighting? Now we have to figure out all the other stuff?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm ready. I'm an emotional guy, you know, like even my agent, even before I come on the show today, they brief me. They say, don't say this, don't say this. You know, like they brief me. They say, we're in negotiation, remember, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, don't worry, I'm not a kid, but I'm an emotional guy.
Sure.
And when I get emotional, sometimes I say things that are not necessarily in the best of my interests. And I try to not going off board with that.
Fair. Yeah, well, I think a lot of people appreciate that emotion and that honesty. Certainly I do. So
the only thing is I love my sport, and I still feel I'm at my best right now, and the clock is running. I'm not getting any younger. I'm in my peak of my career, and if there is a shot, there's another goal, another run. Better do it and do it quick because it's time to do it now.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yes, you give me goosebumps just hearing you talk like that after all these years.
You give me the goosebumps too, Ariel.
We give each other goosebumps. It's a great relationship. By the way,
that's right. There's two things that excite me in life. You see, the woman and the violence of the octagon. So now you give me the one on with the octagon.
Wait a second. Last time on the show, you said there were three things that excite you: women, violence of the octagon, and dinosaurs. What happened to the dinosaurs? Are they extinct?
No, the dinosaurs. You took that line from the YouTube video they did on me. They make fun of me. So.
Wait, you said that.
Dinosaurs excite me, but not at the same level as that.
What's first, by the way? Is it the violence of the octagon or the women? What comes first?
It depends on what mood I am. Depending on which mood I am. Now I'm talking to you, I would say the violence first.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. Now, are you hoping it's 2016? Are you hoping that it's this year that it goes down, that your return happens?
Yeah, I really do hope so. But, you know, like I said, there's a lot of... I have a lot to lose in this because I finish on top. I finish as champion. And that's the way everybody would like to leave the sport on top, healthy and wealthy, and I did it.
Wow.
If I go back, it needs to be for something big. at least for my first fight, it need to be for something big. And then it's got to give me the swing, the momentum to do it again and again and again, you know, for another run, you know. So will depend what's going to happen. But I have a lot to lose. But the thing is also, the reason why it make me thinking of coming back is I don't want to end up at 80 years old and telling myself, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, because all the thing I regret in my life the most, it's not the thing that I have done, it's the thing that I have not done, the thing that I regret the most. So I don't want to end up when I'm too old and say, oh, I should have done it. I was in great shape. My timing was impeccable, and I didn't do it. So I will die with regret.
And I know we're running out of time, but I just want to ask you, because you have committed to this mentally, will you be genuinely disappointed if this doesn't come together, if you don't get to fight again?
I will be disappointed. But you know what I mean. I made a deal with my agent. I made an agreement with my boat agent, and I'm a man of my word. Life doesn't go the way you want, and you know what I mean. And that's the way it is. You know what I mean. I'm a man of my word, and I will respect these words.
And what about the welterweight title? Do you want to try to get that back, or are you more interested in the middleweight because it's a new challenge, it's a new chapter, etc.?
Look, Ariel, I told you I could fight also at lightweight. I'm not a big welterweight. I walk around 187. I'm 186, 187 when I wake up in the morning, and I could easily make a diet because a lot of lightweight are bigger than me. Welterweight, I don't even talk about it because most of them are bigger than me, of course, and middleweight, you know, they're much bigger than me. But it's not really about size, it's about skills. Of course, if two guys the same skill, the same ability, fight, normally the bigger guy has an advantage. This is physique. It's a physique problem. It's there. We cannot deny it. But I believe even if I'm smaller than some guy, I can overcome this obstacle because of my skill, my athleticism, and my fighting IQ. That's why I always believe.
Wow. Okay. So let us wrap this up. George, thank you so much. This is very exciting. I don't know if you realize this, but around us, the MMA community is going nuts right now because George St-Pierre is ready and willing to return to the UFC if everything can get figured out. This is huge. This is massive. I'm sweating here. I'm exhausted just talking to you because this is so exciting. I don't know if you recognize all of this, but anyway, I felt like I needed to say it. What's the final message to the fans, to the community out there? You're ready. You're back. Let's just get this done. Is that it?
I want to say thanks to the fans that kept supporting me during the time off, and I want to say thank you to them and to stick with me and to always believe in me. And I thank them from the bottom of my heart.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you, George. I guess I could somewhat say welcome back, but let's see how this turns out. I hope it turns out for the best. I'd love to see you fight again. I'd love to see you fight Michael Bisping. That is a big deal. What a scene that would be. I wish you the very best, and thank you so much for coming on our show and talking about this. It really means a lot. Merci.
Thank you, Ariel, for making the interview. You don't realize, but you help. You helped me a lot, and a lot of other fighters promoting themselves and making things happen. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. There he is, the one and only George St-Pierre on the phone. Wow. Wow. What just happened? Was that the version of was that our version of Michael Jordan's Facts? 2 words, I'm back. What just happened there? That was wild. Thank you very much to George St-Pierre and his team for making that happen. Wow. Listening to him speak, listening to him lay things out. Can you really seriously tell me you didn't want to see that? You don't want to see that? That was, can you make it, what do you think of that, New York Rick? Any thoughts? He's fainted.
We're just turning down the speakers. There's a lot to digest there, especially the fact that he does want Michael Bisping, it seems like.
Crazy.
Which is incredible.
This all escalated very quickly.
Yes, it escalated very, very quickly. He's back. Dinosaurs got cut from the rotation.
Yeah, what the heck? That was massive.
There was just a lot going on.
By the way, he insinuated that the dinosaurs was something that was like spliced in, but he actually said that.
Yeah, I mean, it was on this show. It was on this very show.
There is something about his delivery and the way he enunciates that I can't get enough of.
But on a serious note,
yes.
I mean, what more needs to be said?
Let's get it all.
Let's get this done, and let's see GSP back.
Now
he's ready.
What do you think of this Bisping idea?
I'm all for it. I think, it doesn't make sense to bring GSP back to just like start chasing the welterweight title again. Give him a fight that really has promotion behind it that makes sense. And nobody talks up a fight better than Michael Bisping. They've both been with the UFC so long. I think this could be a perfect fight for him. That said, I obviously wouldn't scoff at an Anderson Silva fight. There's a lot of fights that I think are in that territory for GSP, but Michael Bisping is one of them for sure. Now that he has the belt.
Yeah, that is big. I mean, look, there's something to be said for skipping the line, for staying your weight class. This is a guy who you can make a very strong case. To me, it's John Jones and it's him. That's just my opinion as far as the greatest ever. And you can make a strong argument for one over the other. 1, 2, whatever.
And Anderson Silva in that mix somewhere.
He's in that mix. But for me, I'm talking about the top two. That's my top two.
Yep, that's fair.
Him coming back is a big deal. Him fighting for, let's not forget, there's only 2 men in the history of this sport, or at least this organization, who have held belts in 2 different weight classes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a big deal in its own right. And it hasn't been done in a very long time. And Randy Couture and BJ Penn, those are the only ones.
And I think it hasn't been done, whether it's fair or unfair, it hasn't been done by somebody with George's legacy. I love BJ Penn. He's my favorite fighter. But he has losses in his career because of his willingness to go outside his weight class and fight that way. Same thing with Randy Couture. Fought at different weight classes, didn't really have a place where he established himself and stayed in one weight class. GSP is a 170er and has been. This would be the first time somebody with this resume is going after a title in that division, or at least if he was able to pull it off successfully doing that. It's a big deal. It is a very big deal if that's what materializes.
Look, with all due respect to Dan Henderson, and that fight makes a lot of sense. As a title fight, it just feels a little strange to me. And I know there will be some who say, Jacare and Luke and Chris, they all deserve it as well. They all have a legitimate... Oh, Yoel Romero, we can't forget about him. He beat Jacare. But this feels very special. This is just hearing him talk about coming back, and maybe they can agree on something else. Maybe they could talk about, I don't know, maybe they talk about the Robbie winner, Robbie Woodley winner. Maybe they talk about Conor McGregor. Who knows? But just hearing him sort of put his mind to this now, after everything, after the way he was post 167, we're now about to approach 200. It's a long time ago. Remember that? He just kind of left. Somewhat, kind of surreal to hear him speak like this.
Is the right time? Is now the time?
Look, this is a guy who has been very careful about not saying the R word, not using the retirement word, not jumping the gun, taking his time, going through a training camp before the training camp. If he says it's the right time, it's the right time. And have you seen him? You've seen pictures of him. He looks to be in phenomenal shape. And he's not fat. You know what I mean?
Does the landscape need GSP though? Is he missed now more than ever, and he's taking advantage of the perfect opportunity?
Well, I don't know if he's doing that, the second part of your statement, but I will say this. When GSP was fighting and dominating, I think he was taken for granted somewhat because his fights were decisions and people want to not. I think that distance, again, makes the heart grow fonder. People love a comeback. Certainly, my home country, Canada, can use him. There's a direct correlation between the dip in that market and his departure. Him returning, maybe it's not for his first fight, his second fight back to Montreal. That place, that arena, 25,000 people, sells out in 5 minutes.
Here's my last question. Let's assume that it's for one fight. Let's say that there's not a long-term implication here. George comes back for one huge fight. Is this bigger, equal, or less big or smaller than Brock Lesnar's return?
Ooh, that is a tough question to answer. Wow. That is a tough question. That is a great question. Brock has the WWE fan base.
Yep.
And he's got that fan base coming with him. He's a heavyweight. His fights have always been, madness. People get very excited when he fights, and it usually delivers. I mean, he never had a stinker of a fight, whether he was winning or losing.
Yep.
So, and Brock being on 200 helps him. I don't know. I guess I would have to probably side with Brock on that one because he comes with that fan base and he looks like a genetic freak. But GSP's not that far off. Given who he is in the sport, given his legacy, given his resume, given his standing in the sport, I want to see if George St-Pierre can come back and be the best in the game right off the bat.
I think that's the big difference there is that it's probably not going to be one fight for GSP. He probably wants to come back and really make a go of it. And but for all the reasons you said, I think Brock's one event impact is humongous. But George coming back is going to be a long-term thing. I'm assuming, and it'll have a big impact.
Brock returning is the circus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
GSP returning is like seeing the best ever come back, or one of the best ever come back, and seeing if he, because part of the story there for Brock, part of the story,
it's Jordan.
Yeah. For Brock, the story isn't can he be the best heavyweight ever. It's can he survive Mark Hunt given this layoff. With GSP, the story is, can he get back to who he once was and now try to make history by A, having the most wins, but B, being only the third man to hold a belt in 2 different weight classes? That's nuts in its own right.
And now we're assuming this is the Michael Bisping fight. I mean, he very well may come back and do something else, but that would be...
That seems to be what he wants. Clearly. I mean, I think he made that pretty damn clear.
What he wants.
Freaking wild. I know Michael Bisping is on a media tour right now in England doing his thing, but
here, are we going to get a minimized version because of the fact that they both respect each other?
No, you saw Bisping in that interview. You heard him say that he would send him back, and then you see GSP laugh. He's like,
GSP's laugh was,
no, you didn't.
Know what I swear to God, I got transported back to what was it after Game 4? They asked about Klay Thompson calling LeBron a soft or something, and he just laughed. He just laughed right in their faces. It reminded me of the exact same thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I've said enough.
Wow. The king is back. The king of Canadian MMA, one of the greatest of all time, says on this program that he is ready and willing. Let's figure this out. The worst thing that could happen is if some contract negotiation goes awry and they can't figure this out. Like everything else is in place, everyone's on board, and they can't bring him back. I mean, I have a hard time believing that happens because when there's a will, there's a way. But just the fact that we got over this hurdle of whether or not he will ever fight again, because there was a chance he wasn't going to fight again, is pretty damn massive. And fitting that I'm actually going to Montreal tomorrow. How about that? To visit my family. Wow. All right. I think that's it for today. You can hit my music. Went a little overtime here. But a very exciting way. That reminds... It's sometimes fun doing these big interviews at the end of the show because it just leaves me with a nice little boost of adrenaline. This is a pretty massive boost, I must say. Hearing that from George Rush St-Pierre, pretty amazing stuff. Well, we'll see how it all plays out. Crazy. Madness. Thank you very much to everyone who tuned in. Appreciate your support. Appreciate your listener or viewership. Thank you very much to Will Brooks. Wow, if you missed that Will Brooks interview, very, very heavy stuff, emotional stuff. Congratulations to him on signing with the UFC, and good luck against Ross Pearson. That is huge. Great stuff from Will Brooks. Thank you to him. Thank you to Fabricio Verdum. Good luck at UFC 203 against Big Ben Rothwell. What a fun scene that's going to be. Home of the NBA champions. Who would have thunk it? Thank you very much to Frankie Perez. Let's not forget, another guy announced his return to active fighting on this program. Frankie Perez announcing it on this show. Thank you very much to him, and good luck to him. Thank you very much to Luke Rockhold. Best of luck to him. Thank you very much to Dave Meltzer. Appreciate his time very much as well. Thank you to the great Chris Cyborg, and congrats to her on winning at UFC 198 and definitely upping her profile. And of course, thank you very much to the great George Rush St-Pierre for stopping by and dropping that bomb on us at the end of the show. If you missed anything, check it out. YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all those places and more. Back next week, same time and place. Until they say, I'm out of here.